Welcome to the very beginning of our journey into the vast and mysterious ocean of the human mind. Tonight, we invite you to close your eyes and let go of the present moment, allowing the heavy curtains of the modern world to be drawn back so that we may step softly into the corridors of the past. We're traveling back over 2,000 years to a time when science and spirituality were woven together like the threads of a fine linen robe. A time when the subconscious was not yet a medical term, but a divine landscape visited only under the light of the stars. Imagine yourself walking along a dusty path in the twilight of ancient Greece. The air is warm and smells of dry earth and pine needles. The sun is setting behind the silhouette of distant mountains, painting the sky in shades of deep violet and burnt orange. You are making a pilgrimage to a place of healing and rest, a place known as the Asclepion, the great temple of the god of medicine, Asclepius. This is where the history of our understanding of the mind begins, not in a cold laboratory, but in a sanctuary of stone and silence. As you walk, the gravel crunches softly beneath your sandals, a rhythmic sound that calms your heartbeat and slows your breathing. You are entering the sanctuary at Epidaurus, the most celebrated healing center of the ancient world. Here, the Greeks believed that sleep was the gateway to the divine, and that within our dreams lay the secrets to restoring the body and the soul. The concept was called incubation, a ritual sleep where one would lie down in a sacred space to receive a vision. And tonight, you are here to experience this ancient peace. You pass through the great stone propylon, the gateway that separates the chaotic outside world from this valley of tranquility. The noise of the marketplace and the worries of daily life are left behind, fading into the distance like a mist burning off in the morning sun. Inside the sanctuary, the atmosphere is heavy with reverence and the scent of medicinal herbs. You can smell lavender and chamomile, pungent rosemary, and the sweet drowsiness of poppy. These were the early tools of science, the first attempts to understand how chemistry interacts with our consciousness. The priests here, known as the therapeutae, move silently in white robes. Their movements are slow and deliberate. They are the keepers of the ancient knowledge, understanding that for the body to heal, the mind must first surrender. As you walk deeper into the complex, you see the great tholos, a round building of white marble that glows softly in the deepening dusk. It is a masterpiece of architecture, a testament to the human desire to create order and beauty. But your destination is the abaton, the dormitory of the holy sleep. It is a long, open colonnade where the patients come to rest. The stone columns stand like tall guardians, protecting those who slumber between them. The roof is made of cedar wood, and its faint, spicy aroma mixes with the cool night air. Night has truly fallen now, and the sky above is a canvas of velvet obsidian scattered with diamonds. The stars look brighter here than you have ever seen them, the constellations of the ancient world looking down upon you, watching over you with a timeless gaze. You find your place within the abaton, a simple couch known as a klein prepared with soft wool blankets and animal skins. It looks incredibly inviting, a nest of comfort amidst the marble and stone. You sit down on the edge of the couch and unlace your sandals, feeling the relief as your feet are freed. You swing your legs up and lie back. The wool is warm against your skin, and the pillow supports your head perfectly, allowing your neck to relax completely. You let out a long, slow exhale, releasing the tension from your shoulders, from your back, from your legs. Here in the Abaton, the science of the ancient world takes over. The priests believe that Asclepius visits the dreamers, but we now know that they were tapping into the placebo effect and the profound power of the subconscious mind. They understood that when the conscious mind is quiet, when the noise of the ego is silenced by sleep, the deeper mechanisms of the brain can begin their work of repair and organization. You lie there listening to the sounds of the night. Somewhere in the distance an owl hoots, a lonely but comforting sound. The wind rustles gently through the cypress trees, creating a sound like the ocean, a rhythmic hushing that tells you it is safe to let go. You are participating in a tradition that millions have done before you, seeking answers in the dark, trusting that the morning will bring clarity. As your eyes grow heavy, you think about the figure of Asclepius, often depicted with a staff around which a single snake is coiled. This symbol, which we still use in medicine today, represents the shedding of skin, the renewal of life, and the duality of nature. The venom that kills can also be the potion that cures, just as the night which brings darkness also brings the restoration of sleep. You feel a heavy relaxation spreading through your limbs. Your arms feel like they are sinking into the mattress. Your legs feel weighted and warm. The distinction between your body and the bed begins to blur. You are becoming part of the stillness of the temple. In this state of incubation, the ancients believed they were closest to the gods, but you are getting closer to the deepest part of yourself, the part that regulates your heartbeat without you asking, the part that knits your cells together, the part that weaves the complex tapestry of your dreams. This is the subconscious, a vast internal universe that is just as infinite as the starry sky above you. The priests might come by softly, chanting ancient hymns. Their voices are low and resonant, acting like a lullaby. The vibration of the sound travels through the stone floor and hums in the air, further entraining your brainwaves into a slower rhythm, moving you from the alertness of beta waves down into the relaxed flow of alpha, and eventually into the deep restorative delta waves. You are drifting on this river of sound and scent, floating back through the centuries. There is no phone to check here, no emails to answer, no clock ticking on the wall. There is only the cycle of the sun and the moon, the rhythm of nature. And the sanctuary of the Abaton, you feel a profound sense of gratitude for this moment of pause, for this historical stillness. As you drift deeper, you might imagine the faint flicker of oil lamps casting dancing shadows on the stone columns. The light is warm and amber, soft on the eyes, not harsh like the lights of the modern world. It is a living light that breathes and moves, hypnotic and calming. You watch the shadows play for a moment before your eyelids become too heavy to keep open. You allow them to close, and you are greeted by the warm darkness behind your eyes, a private sanctuary within the public sanctuary. You are safe here, protected by the stone walls, protected by the tradition of thousands of years of healers, protected by the science of sleep itself, which is the most powerful medicine we possess. The air grows slightly cooler as the night deepens, but you are warm beneath your heavy wool blankets. The contrast makes the bed feel even cozier, a cocoon of warmth in the cool ancient night. You breathe in the herbal air deeply, filling your lungs with the essence of the past, holding it for a moment, and then letting it go, sinking deeper with every breath. You are learning that the search for the subconscious did not begin with modern psychology. It began here, in the quiet reverence of the temple, where people understood that there is a wisdom inside us that speaks only when we are asleep, a wisdom that rises to the surface when the waters of the mind are still. You are now part of that stillness. Your breathing has slowed to a steady rhythm, in and out, like the tides of the Aegean Sea not far away. You can almost hear the distant waves rolling onto the shore, a steady, eternal percussion that has beaten against the land since the beginning of time. The sound washes over you, cleansing your thoughts, carrying away any debris of the day, leaving only the smooth, clean sand of your mind. You are drifting toward the state the Greeks called Hypnos, the god of sleep, who was the brother of Thanatos, death, and the son of Nyx, the night. They understood that sleep was a little surrender, a nightly practice of letting go of control. And so you surrender now. You let go of the need to understand, the need to plan, the need to be anything other than a breathing, sleeping being. The Temple of Asclepius is silent now. The priests have retired. The pilgrims are asleep. And the only movement is the slow rotation of the stars overhead. You are perfectly still, perfectly at peace, suspended in the amber of history. You are safe in the arms of the ancient night, ready to receive the healing gifts of the subconscious, ready to dream, ready to rest. As the first chapter of our story comes to a close, you are standing at the threshold of the great cave of the mind, a place we will explore further as the centuries pass. But for now, there is only the stone, the stars, and the deep velvety sleep of the ancients. Good night. As we leave the healing temples of Epidaurus behind us, the mist of the morning begins to clear, and we find ourselves traveling further through the landscape of time, moving from the realm of ritual into the dawning light of reason. We are arriving now in ancient Athens, the cradle of Western thought, where the golden sun bathes the marble columns of the Acropolis in a light so bright and pure it seems to clarify the mind itself. It is the 4th century BC, a time when the human intellect began to turn its gaze inward, asking not just which gods control the night, but what exactly is happening within us when we close our eyes. The air here is different. It smells less of incense and more of dry dust, olive wood, and the salty breeze drifting up from the Aegean Sea. You are walking now through a grove of olive trees just outside the city walls. The leaves are a silvery green, shimmering in the gentle wind like the scales of a fish. This is the Academy, the school founded by Plato, a place where the noise of the city is filtered out by the trees, leaving only the sound of birds and the quiet murmur of philosophical debate. Imagine yourself sitting on a stone bench beneath the shade of a gnarled ancient olive tree. The bark is rough against your back, grounding you to the earth. The ground is dappled with sunlight and shadow, a mosaic of light that shifts as the wind moves the branches above. It is here that we encounter the first real whisper of the subconscious, not as a medical fact, but as a poetic mystery. Plato speaks to us of the soul, or the psyche, describing it as a chariot pulled by 2 horses, one noble and rational, the other wild and instinctual. This was the first map of our inner conflict, the realization that we are not masters of our own house, that there are forces within us that pull against our conscious will, forces that often reveal themselves only when the rational guard is down, such as in sleep. You listen to the rustling leaves and let the image of the chariot fade, replaced by Plato's most famous story, the allegory of the cave. Imagine now that you are inside a deep, cool cave. The air is damp and still, protecting you from the heat of the midday sun.
In this story, he describes prisoners who have spent their lives facing a blank wall, watching shadows dance across the stone, shadows cast by a fire they cannot see. For them, these shadows are reality. They do not know the true objects that cast them. This is a profound metaphor for the sleeping mind. For when we dream, we are like those figures in the cave, watching the shadows of our day, the echoes of our memories, and the silhouettes of our deepest fears playing out on the wall of our mind. We believe them to be real while we are in them, swept up in the drama of the shadow play, only to wake and realize there was a deeper truth behind them. As you sit in the olive grove, you feel a sense of wonder at this idea, that our conscious life is just the sunlight world, while our subconscious is the cave.
A place of mystery and dim lighting where the rules of the physical world do not apply. The wind picks up slightly, cooling your skin, and you decide to stand and walk, leaving the academy and heading towards another sanctuary of thought, the Lyceum. This is the school of Aristotle, Plato's greatest student, who walked these paths with his disciples, teaching them as they strolled, a practice that gave them the name peripatetics, or the wanderers. You fall into step with this imaginary procession, the rhythm of your walking matching the slow, steady beat of your heart. Aristotle brings us closer to the science of sleep, moving away from the purely mystical. He looked at the body and asked how it worked. He believed that sleep was not merely a visit from a god, but a physical necessity, a cooling of the body's heat. Imagine the ancient physiology he described, the idea that the digestion of food creates vapors that rise up to the head like steam rising from a warm pot, causing a heaviness, a drowsiness, that weighs down the eyelids and forces the body to rest so that the heat can return to the heart. While his biology was not entirely correct, his intuition was brilliant. He understood that the mind and the body are inextricably linked, that what we eat, how we move, and the state of our blood affects the quality of our dreams. He wrote a treatise called On Sleep and Sleeplessness, treating the subject with the seriousness of a scientist. He suggested that dreams are like the ripples in a pond after a stone has been thrown. The stone is the sensory experience of the day, the face of a friend, the taste of wine, the sound of a lyre, and long after the stone has sunk, the ripples continue to move across the water of our mind. This is the residual movement of the soul, he argued, and when the external world goes quiet, these internal ripples become visible as dreams. You find this water metaphor incredibly soothing, visualizing your own mind as a calm pool of water in a marble basin. During the day, the wind and the falling leaves disturb the surface, but now, as you prepare for sleep, the wind has died down. The surface is becoming glass-like, smoothing out, reflecting the starlight of the ancient sky. Aristotle also hinted at something that would take thousands of years to prove, the idea that during sleep we are not merely off, but we are sensitive to the internal signals of the body that are drowned out during the day. Just as we can hear the faint scratching of a mouse only when the room is silent, so too can we hear the whispers of our own biology and our deepest emotions only when the noise of the waking world is silenced by sleep. The sun is beginning to set over Athens now, turning the white marble of the Parthenon into a glowing shade of rose and honey. The shadows in the olive grove lengthen, stretching out like long fingers across the grass, reminding you again of the cave, of the hidden things. But there is no fear here, only a sense of deep curiosity and philosophical peace. The great thinkers of the past did not fear the dark, they sought to understand it, and in doing so they gave us permission to explore our own darkness.
To see sleep not as a waste of time, but as a vital state of being where the soul communes with itself, you find a soft patch of grass near a murmuring stream that runs through the Lyceum. The water flows over smooth stones, making a bubbling, melodic sound that is nature's own lullaby. You lie down, looking up through the branches at the sky, which is turning a deep indigo. The first stars are appearing, the same stars that Plato and Aristotle looked upon, the same stars that have watched over every sleeper in history. You feel a connection to this lineage of dreamers, a sense of belonging to the human story. Your eyes feel heavy, influenced by the imaginary vapors of Aristotle's theory, a pleasant warmth gathering in your chest and radiating out to your fingertips and toes. Your body feels heavy and grounded, pulled gently into the earth by gravity, just as the mind is pulled gently into the world of shadows and dreams. You think about the concept of the psyche, the breath of life, and you focus on your own breath, slow and steady, inhaling the wisdom of the past, exhaling the tension of the present. The philosophical questions of the day dissolve into the simplicity of the night. There is no need to solve the riddles of the universe right now. The only task remaining is to let go, to allow the chariot of the soul to rest, to let the horses graze in the pastures of the night. You are drifting deeper now, moving beyond the logic of the Lyceum, beyond the allegories of the Academy, sinking into the direct experience of rest. The distinction between the observer and the sleeper begins to fade. You are no longer thinking about sleep, you are becoming sleep. You are the shadow on the wall, you are the ripple on the water, you are the silence between the thoughts. The ancient city of Athens settles down for the night around you. The torches are extinguished one by one. The debates are ended. The scrolls are rolled up and put away on their shelves. The noise of the carts and the voices of the merchants have ceased, leaving only the sound of the wind and the sea. This silence is heavy and rich, filled with the potential of tomorrow, but firmly rooted in the peace of right now. You feel a profound sense of safety, knowing that the search for understanding is a long and slow journey, one that does not require you to rush. You can rest here in the cradle of history, supported by the great minds who first dared to ask, "Who am I?" The answer to that question is not found in words tonight, but in the deep restorative silence that is wrapping around you like a warm cloak. The darkness is not empty. It is a canvas waiting for your dreams, a space where your subconscious can sort through the memories of the day, filing them away, making sense of your world while you do absolutely nothing. This is the gift of the subconscious, the silent worker that takes over when the conscious mind surrenders. So you surrender now, fully and completely, letting the weight of your body sink further into the grass, feeling the earth hold you up, the sky watch over you, and the history of thought lull you into a deep and dreamless slumber. The whispers of philosophy have faded into a gentle hum, a vibration of peace that resonates in every cell of your body. You are ready to leave the cave of the waking world and enter the true cave of rest, where the shadows are friendly and the darkness is a comfort. Good night to the philosophers, good night to the ancient city, and good night to you as you drift away on the timeless river of sleep.
The wheel of time turns slowly and silently, carrying us away from the sun-drenched olive groves of ancient Greece, moving us forward across the centuries through the mist of the Middle Ages and into the golden light of the Renaissance. We find ourselves now in Italy, in the 15th and 16th centuries, a time of reawakening, when the human mind decided to look at itself in the mirror of science. The air is no longer filled with the scent of pine and sea salt, but with the rich aromas of linseed oil, old paper, and melting beeswax. It is late at night in the city of Florence. Rain is falling softly against the leaded glass windows of a high-ceilinged studio, creating a rhythmic drumming sound that seals off the room from the rest of the world. You are safe inside this sanctuary of intellect and art, standing quietly in the corner of a room filled with sketches, sculptures, and instruments of measurement. In the center of the room, a single candle burns, its flame steady and golden, casting long dancing shadows against the stone walls. This is the Anatomist's candle,
the solitary light of the seeker who works while the rest of the world sleeps. Seated at a heavy wooden desk is a man with a long beard and eyes that seem to hold the curiosity of a child and the wisdom of a sage. It is Leonardo da Vinci, the great polymath who believed that to paint the human soul, one must first understand the machine that houses it. You watch as he dips a quill into a pot of ink. The scratch of the pen on the parchment is a soothing, repetitive sound, like the ticking of a clock. He is drawing something that few eyes have ever seen before, the internal geography of the human head. Before this moment, the brain was a mystery, a cloud, a philosophical concept, but Leonardo treats it as a landscape that can be mapped. Just as explorers are sailing the oceans to map the Americas, he is sailing the inner seas to map the mind. Imagine looking over his shoulder. He is sketching the ventricles, the hollow chambers deep within the brain. He believes this is where the sensus communis resides, the meeting place of the senses, the throne of the soul. To understand the shape of these hidden caverns, he has performed a brilliant experiment, injecting molten wax into the brain of an ox and letting it harden, creating a perfect cast of the internal spaces, a sculpture of the void. This is the beginning of the science of the subconscious, the realization that our thoughts, our dreams, and our memories have a physical home. A structure as complex and beautiful as a cathedral. The candle flickers as a draft from the window stirs the air, and you watch the light play across the anatomical drawings, the lines of ink looking like rivers flowing across a map. You feel a sense of awe at this moment of discovery, the moment when the unknown cartography of our inner world began to take shape. The rain outside intensifies slightly, a gentle wash of sound that deepens your relaxation, washing away the dust of your own day. Just as Leonardo seeks to understand the structure of the mind, you are allowing your own structure to loosen, your muscles untying their knots, your bones settling into the support of your bed. You are a masterpiece of biology, a complex vessel of nerves and vessels that deserves this time of rest. We leave Leonardo's studio now, floating on the damp night air, traveling north to the city of Padua, to the great university where another pioneer is working under the light of his own candle. It is a few decades later, and we're in the presence of Andreas Vesalius, the father of modern anatomy. The room here is a library, the walls lined with leather-bound books that smell of earth and history. Vesalius is younger, more focused, driven by a desire to correct the mistakes of the past. He is working on his magnum opus, the De Humani Corporis Fabrica, the fabric of the human body. He understands that the brain is not just a container for spirits, but a dense, folded organ of incredible complexity. Imagine him peeling back the layers of mystery, drawing the cortex with its ridges and valleys, the gyri and sulci that look like a plowed field or a huddled range of mountains. He is the first to truly see the gray matter and the white matter, tracing the path of the nerves as they spill out from the spine like the roots of a great tree. Indeed, he calls the structure inside the cerebellum the arbor vitae, the tree of life, a beautiful name for the center that controls our balance and grace. You imagine this tree within you, its branches swaying gently in the breeze of your breath, calming your nervous system, rooting you to the bed. Vesalius draws with precision, knowing that he is creating a map for future generations, a map that will one day help us understand where sleep comes from. He works in silence. The only sound is the turning of a page, a dry whisper of paper that sounds like a footstep on autumn leaves. The candlelight in his room is warm and amber, creating a circle of illumination in the vast darkness of the unknown.
You feel a deep connection to these early scientists, these night watchmen of human knowledge. They worked alone in the dark so that we might understand the light of our own consciousness. As you watch the ink dry on the page, you realize that your brain, the very organ listening to this story, is the legacy of their curiosity. It is a miracle of biological engineering, capable of processing the stars, the history, and the voice you hear now. But even this miracle needs to power down. The mapmakers need to rest. The candle burns lower.
The wax pooling at the base, signaling that the time for study is ending and the time for sleep is beginning. The intricate networks of neurons that Vesalius sketched are now beginning to slow their firing. The signals are becoming less frequent, softer, like the lights of a city going out one by one as the night deepens. The cortex, that wrinkled outer layer responsible for your planning and worrying, is quieting down. The blood flow is shifting, moving away from the centers of action and towards the centers of restoration. You are entering the territory that these ancient maps could not fully show, the territory of the function, the flow, the dream. Imagine your own brain as a glowing map where the bright highways of the day are dimming into soft country roads. The traffic of thoughts is disappearing, leaving only the open space of deep awareness. The rain in Italy has stopped, leaving a heavy, comfortable silence hanging over the cobblestone streets. The air is cool and fresh, entering the window and bringing with it the scent of wet stone and sleeping gardens. Leonardo has put down his quill. Vesalius has closed his great book. The ink is capped. The parchment is rolled. The work of the day is done. The strive for knowledge is replaced by the wisdom of rest. You feel a heavy, pleasant sensation behind your eyes, the same area that Leonardo tried to map, but you do not need to understand it now. You only need to feel it. Feel the darkness gathering there like a soft velvet curtain. The unknown cartography is no longer something to be conquered, but a landscape to be enjoyed, a vast wilderness of sleep where you can wander freely. The candle on the desk gives one last flicker, a final dance of light and shadow, and then is blown out. A thin wisp of gray smoke spirals up into the darkness, carrying the scent of extinguished wax. The room is plunged into a restful blackness, but it is not a scary darkness. It is the darkness of the womb, the darkness of the seed underground, the darkness of potential. In this darkness, the boundaries of the room disappear, the walls of the studio melt away, and you are left floating in the comfortable void of history. You are suspended between the past and the future in the eternal now of sleep. The anatomical details, the nerves, the ventricles, the lobes, they all dissolve into a singular sensation of comfort. The map is rolled up. The territory is yours to explore in your dreams. You are drifting deeper than the anatomists ever could with their knives and pens. You are going to the place where the conscious mind cannot follow, the secret chamber of the subconscious, the true sanctuary. Your breathing is rhythmic and slow, mimicking the gentle rise and fall of a sleeper's chest in a Renaissance painting. You are a work of art at rest, a study in stillness. The golden age of discovery has led you here, to this bed, to this moment of release. The shadows of the room are like heavy blankets, tucking you in, holding you close. The history of science is a bedtime story told by the atoms of your own body. And now the story is pausing. The page is turning to a blank white sheet, waiting for the ink of your dreams. Sleep is the final frontier, the map that changes every night, and you are the voyager, setting sail on a sea of calm, drifting away from the shores of Florence and Padua, drifting away from the logic and the lines into the soft, abstract embrace of the night. Everything is quiet.
everything is still. The candle is out, and the peace is absolute.
The candle of the Anatomist flickers and fades into the annals of history, and we find ourselves drifting forward once again on the river of time, leaving the stone streets of the Renaissance behind to emerge into the opulent, velvet-draped world of the late 18th century. We are traveling to the heart of Europe, specifically to the bustling cobblestone streets of Vienna and the glittering salons of pre-revolutionary Paris. It is the age of enlightenment, where reason is king, yet in the shadows of this rationality, a new and mysterious science is beginning to bloom, a science of the invisible, of the forces that cannot be seen but can be deeply felt. The air here is heavy with the scent of expensive powder, blooming jasmine, and the faint metallic tang of electricity. For this is the era of Franz Anton Mesmer, a man who walked the line between physician and magician, and who first dared to suggest that the universe is connected by a vast, unseen ocean of energy. Imagine yourself stepping out of a carriage on a cool Parisian evening in the year 1778. The street lamps are glowing with a soft gas-lit haze, casting long shadows against the ornate buildings. You are dressed in the fashion of the time, perhaps wearing soft silk or heavy velvet, fabrics that rustle gently as you move, grounding you in the texture of the past. You are entering a grand salon, a room designed not for parties, but for a new kind of healing. The room is dimly lit. The windows are covered with heavy purple curtains that block out the noise of the city, creating a cocoon of silence and expectation. In the center of the room stands a strange and beautiful object known as the baquet, a large circular tub made of polished oak, filled with water, iron filings, and powdered glass. Protruding from the tub are iron rods, bent and shaped so that they can touch the patients who sit around it. This is the battery of the animal magnetism theory, the idea that a magnetic fluid flows through all living things, connecting the stars to the earth and the mind to the body. Mesmer believed that illness was merely a blockage in this flow, a dam in the river of life, and that by restoring the current, health could be returned. You take a seat in one of the plush velvet chairs arranged in a circle around the tub. The seat is soft and yielding, embracing your body, allowing you to sink back and release the tension of your journey. You take hold of one of the iron rods. It is cool to the touch, a grounding sensation that sends a message of stability up your arm and into your shoulder. Around you, others are sitting in silence, their eyes closed, their breathing shallow and expectant.
You are all connected by a rope that is loosely tied around the waists of the group, symbolizing the circuit of energy that binds all humanity together. The atmosphere is thick with a sense of mystery, a feeling that you are on the edge of a great discovery. Then the music begins. It is not an orchestra, but a single haunting instrument, the glass harmonica, an invention of Benjamin Franklin. It consists of a series of spinning glass bowls touched by wet fingers to produce a sound that is less like music and more like the singing of the spheres. The sound is high, pure, and continuous, a vibration that seems to resonate inside your very bones. It circles the room, washing over you like a gentle wave, dissolving the boundaries between you and the air around you. The glass harmonica was said to induce a trance state, a loosening of the conscious grip, and you can feel it working now. The sharp edges of your thoughts are softening, blurring into a watercolor of sound and sensation. Into the room walks Mesmer himself, wearing a coat of violet silk. He moves with a slow, deliberate grace. He does not speak, for words are the tools of the conscious mind, and we are descending into the subconscious. He moves from patient to patient, performing what he calls magnetic passes. He sweeps his hands over their bodies without touching them, starting from the top of the head and moving down to the feet, imagining that he is smoothing out the invisible fluid, combing the tangled energy field of the body. Imagine him standing before you now. His presence is calm and commanding. You feel a warmth radiating from his hands as they hover inches above your forehead. He moves his hands down slowly, past your eyes, which are now heavy and closed, past your cheeks, down your neck and shoulders, and with this movement, you feel a wave of relaxation cascading down your body. It is as if his hands are magnets drawing out the stress, the worry, and the fatigue from your muscles, pulling it down and away, out through the tips of your toes and into the earth. This concept of animal magnetism was the grandmother of modern hypnosis, the first time in history that science acknowledged the power of suggestion and the existence of a state between waking and sleeping, a twilight zone where the mind is open and fluid. As Mesmer's hands sweep down again and again in a rhythmic cycle, you feel yourself entering this magnetic trance. It is a state of profound heaviness. Your arms feel like they are made of lead, resting comfortably on the velvet arms of the chair. Your legs feel sunk into the floor, rooted like an ancient tree. You are aware of the room, but you are detached from it, floating in the magnetic tide. The theory of the universal fluid may have been scientifically disproven later, but the experience was real. The feeling of flow is real. You imagine this fluid now as a warm, golden liquid light entering the crown of your head and filling you up. It is the tide of sleep, rising slowly within you, covering your ankles, your knees, your hips, rising up to your chest, bringing with it a sensation of total peace and buoyancy. You are drifting on the ocean of the subconscious, an ocean that Mesmer tried to map with his magnets and wands, but which you are exploring simply by letting go.
The sounds of the glass harmonica fade into a rhythmic pulse, like the beating of a slow, giant heart, perhaps the heart of the universe itself. You realize that you are not separate from the world around you. You are part of this flow, part of the energy that spins the planets and grows the flowers. This connection makes you feel safe, infinite, and deeply rested. The scene in the salon begins to dissolve. The heavy curtains, the oak tub, and the violet coat fade away, leaving only the sensation of the magnetic sleep, a term later refined by the Marquis de Puységur, who discovered that in this state, people could speak from a deeper part of themselves, a part that knew things the waking mind did not. He called it artificial somnambulism, but we know it as the doorway to the subconscious. You are standing at that doorway now, the threshold between the known and the unknown. The magnetic pull is no longer coming from a man or a machine, but from the center of your own being. Gravity is gentle here, holding you in a lover's embrace. You feel the passes of the night brushing over you. The darkness itself is smoothing out your energy. The cool air of the night is the iron rod grounding you. The silence of your room is the velvet chair. You are the patient and you are the healer, using the power of your own mind to induce a state of restoration. The scientific search for the soul has led us to this quiet moment, to the understanding that we possess an internal switch, a way to dim the lights of the house and go down into the basement where the foundations are kept. You are descending that staircase now, step by step, deeper into the structure of yourself, leaving the 18th century behind, but keeping its gift, the knowledge that the mind can be guided, that the body responds to the imagination. You imagine the magnetic fluid balancing every cell in your body, aligning the polarity of your atoms so that you are in perfect harmony with the rotation of the earth. There is no resistance, no friction, only the smooth, silent slide into the deep. The crisis that Mesmer spoke of is not a convulsion, but a release, a sigh of relief as the last bit of tension leaves your body. You are heavy, warm, and magnetized towards sleep. The pull is irresistible, a gentle gravity that draws your eyelids down and keeps them there. The invisible tides are washing over you, one after another, rhythmic and slow, clearing the shore of your mind, erasing the footprints of the day, leaving the sand smooth and pristine. You are floating in the great bouquet of the night, suspended in the healing waters of the subconscious. The iron rods are the stars, anchoring you to the cosmos. The water is the darkness, and you are the energy, pure and calm. The history of hypnosis is a history of learning how to speak to the self, how to ask the body to rest. And you have asked, and your body is answering. With every breath, you sink deeper. With every beat of your heart, you drift further. The magnetic field of sleep is strong, protecting you, holding you, guiding you into the dreamless expanse. The showman has left the stage, the audience has gone home, the lights are out, and only the peace remains. The deep, magnetic, undeniable peace of the sleeping mind. You surrender to the current. You let the tide take you, drifting, floating, sinking into the beautiful, dark, and silent unknown. Good night.
We leave the velvet salons of Europe and the magnetic mysteries of the 18th century behind us now, crossing the vast Atlantic Ocean to the shores of the New World. The timeline moves forward to the late 19th century, a time of brick and ivy, of gas lamps and growing universities. We find ourselves in the academic heart of America, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, walking the quiet tree-lined streets near Harvard University. It is late autumn, and the air is crisp and cool, smelling of dried leaves, old paper, and the damp earth of New England. The year is 1890, and we are approaching the home of a man who is about to change the way we see ourselves forever. His name is William James, the father of American psychology, a man with a beard that frames a face full of kindness and a mind that moves as swiftly as the wind. Imagine stepping into his study, a sanctuary of thought. The room is warm, heated by a crackling fire in the hearth. The walls are lined with thousands of books, their spines faded and worn, standing like silent soldiers of knowledge. Outside the window, the Charles River flows steadily towards the sea, a dark ribbon of water reflecting the moonlight. James sits at his desk, his pen hovering over a sheet of paper. He is struggling with a problem that has puzzled philosophers for centuries, the problem of how to describe the mind. Before him, people thought of the mind as a collection of separate building blocks, like bricks in a wall or beads on a string, distinct and separate. But James looks inside himself. He closes his eyes, just as you are doing now, and he watches his own thoughts. He sees that they do not snap together like puzzle pieces. They do not start and stop abruptly. Instead, they melt into one another, one thought fading as another rises, like colors blending in a watercolor painting. He writes down a phrase that will become legendary, the stream of consciousness. He realizes that our inner life is a river. It is nothing jointed. It flows. This metaphor is the boat we will sail on tonight. Imagine that you are leaving the study and walking down to the banks of the Charles River. The grass is soft beneath your feet, damp with the evening dew. The city of Boston glows faintly in the distance, but here it is quiet, save for the gentle lapping of the water against the muddy bank. You find a comfortable spot to sit on the riverbank, perhaps on a smooth wooden dock that extends out into the water. You wrap your coat tighter around you, feeling warm and secure in the cool night air. You look at the river.
The surface is dark and glossy, moving with a silent determination. William James taught us that our waking mind is like the surface of this river, full of debris, leaves, twigs, and ripples. These are the thoughts of the day, the worries about tomorrow, the memories of yesterday. They float by, sometimes spinning in little eddies, sometimes moving fast, sometimes slow. But the river itself is much deeper than what you see on top.
Underneath the surface, there is a vast body of water that moves slowly and powerfully. This is the subconscious, the deep current that carries you through life. Tonight, you are going to practice the art of watching the stream without falling in. Imagine your thoughts as those autumn leaves floating on the water. You see one come into view, perhaps a thought about work or a conversation you had. You acknowledge it. You see its shape and color, and then you watch it drift away, carried by the current, disappearing around the bend. You do not reach out to grab it. You do not try to stop the flow. You simply sit on the dock and watch. William James wrote that consciousness is like a bird in flight. It is a continuous movement, and sleep is the perch where the bird rests. You are preparing to land now, to fold your wings and settle down. As you watch the river of your mind, you notice that the current is slowing down. The day has been a rushing rapid, full of white water and noise, but the night is a slow, meandering delta. The channel is widening, the pressure is decreasing, the water is becoming smooth as glass. James also spoke of the fringe of consciousness, the vague feelings and instincts that surround our clear thoughts like a halo. These are the feelings that are hardest to describe but easiest to feel, the sense of familiarity, the sense of approaching sleep. As you sit by this imaginary river, you feel that fringe expanding. The sharp edges of your reality are becoming soft and fuzzy. The distinction between the water and the bank, between the observer and the observed, is beginning to blur. This is the psychological transition into sleep, the moment when the stream of consciousness widens so much that it loses its banks and becomes an ocean. You breathe in the cool river air. It fills your lungs with a clean, fresh sensation. You exhale slowly, imagining your breath joining the mist that rises from the water. You are becoming part of the landscape, part of the flow. William James believed that the mind was always changing, that no two moments were ever exactly the same. Just as Heraclitus said you cannot step into the same river twice, so too you cannot have the exact same thought twice. This means that every moment of rest is a new opportunity. Every night is a fresh voyage. You are not trapped by your past thoughts. They have already flowed downstream. They are gone, making way for the fresh, clear water of the present moment. The water in the river is dark, reflecting the constellations above. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Pleiades. They dance on the surface of the water, and they dance on the surface of your mind. You feel a profound sense of relief in realizing that you do not have to control the river. You cannot stop the water from flowing, and you don't need to. Your only job is to trust the current, to know that it is taking you exactly where you need to go, towards the great ocean of sleep. The sounds of the 19th century fade away. The carriage wheels on cobblestones, the distant steam whistle of a train. They are replaced by the timeless sound of moving water, a hush that has existed since the earth was young. You feel the tension in your forehead melting, smoothing out like the river surface after the wind dies down. Your eyes are relaxed, resting in their sockets, no longer darting around to catch the next visual. The stream of consciousness is slowing to a trickle. The thoughts are becoming further apart. There is a gap between the leaves now, a space of clear, open water. In this space there is silence. In this space there is peace. You are entering the state that James was so fascinated by, the twilight zone where the rational mind gives way to the intuitive mind,
where the I dissolves into the we. The water is warm now, inviting. You imagine yourself slipping off the dock and into the water, but you do not sink, you float. You are buoyant, held up by the density of the water. You are floating on your back, looking up at the stars, drifting slowly downstream. The water supports your neck, your spine, your legs. You feel weightless, effortless. The current is so gentle you can barely feel it, just a soft nudge carrying you deeper into the night. You are passing by the sleeping city, passing by the libraries and the lecture halls, passing by the worries of the world, floating towards the harbor, towards the sea. The stream is no longer a stream, it is a bay, vast and open. The water here is deep and salty. The rhythm changes from a flow to a tide, a gentle rising and falling, matching the rhythm of your breath, in and out, rising and falling. The stream of consciousness has finally reached its destination. It has surrendered its identity to the ocean, just as you are surrendering your waking self to the sleep. William James's river has led you home, to the place where all thoughts dissolve into unity. The water is dark velvet, soft against your skin, a blanket of liquid comfort. You are safe here in the vastness. There are no obstacles, no rocks, no rapids, only the infinite horizon of the night. Your brain waves are slowing down, synchronizing with the slow swell of the sea. The beta waves of the day have turned into the alpha waves of relaxation and are now deepening into the theta and delta waves of profound slumber. You are drifting in the deep, silent, dark water of the unconscious, a place of healing and restoration. The journey down the river has completed. The map has been followed. The ocean is welcoming you. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for the flow, for the ability to let go, for the science that explains it and the poetry that describes it. You are simply a part of the universe, floating, breathing, sleeping. The river flows on, endless and eternal, and you flow with it, into the deepest, quietest, most peaceful night of all. Good night.
The river of consciousness has carried us far from the wooden docks of New England, drifting across the great expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, moving through the mists of time to arrive at the turn of a new millennium. It is the year 1900, a year that stands like a doorway between the old world and the new. We find ourselves in the heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, in the majestic city of Vienna. It is a winter night, and snow is falling softly over the city, blanketing the cobblestone streets in a layer of pristine white silence. The air is cold and crisp, stinging the cheeks gently, but you are warm, wrapped in a heavy wool coat, walking along the famous Ringstrasse. The gas lamps are lit, casting glowing pools of amber light on the snow, creating a pathway of warmth in the blue winter twilight. The city is a masterpiece of architecture, with its opera houses, museums, and grand cafes. But we are leaving the bustle of the public world behind, walking away from the clinking cups of the coffee houses and the waltzes of the ballrooms, heading towards a quiet residential street, Berggasse 19. This is the address that will change the way humanity understands itself, the home and office of Dr. Sigmund Freud, the man who decided to explore the dark continent of the human mind. You approach the heavy wooden door of the apartment building. The sound of the city is muffled here, buried under the snow. You enter the building and climb the stone stairs. The air inside smells of old wax polish and the faint, comforting scent of pipe tobacco. You are entering the inner sanctum of the psychoanalytic movement. The waiting room is quiet, filled with the ticking of a grandfather clock, a rhythmic sound that measures the passing of time. Tick, tock, tick, tock, slowing down your own internal rhythm. You are invited into the study, a room that feels more like an archaeologist's museum than a doctor's office.
The walls are lined with bookshelves packed with leather-bound volumes, their spines glowing in the dim light. Every surface is covered with ancient statues, figures from Egypt, Greece, and Rome, little gods and goddesses that Freud collected, symbols of the ancient myths that he believed were still alive in our dreams. In the center of the room stands the most famous piece of furniture in history, the couch. It is draped in a rich Persian rug, a tapestry of intricate patterns and deep reds and golds, warm and inviting. You are invited to lie down, not to be analyzed, but to rest, to participate in the great experiment of looking inward. You lie back on the couch, and the rug feels thick and soft beneath you, supporting your back, holding you in a cradle of history. The pillow is firm and comfortable. The room is warm, heated by a ceramic stove in the corner that radiates a gentle, constant heat. Freud sits behind you, out of sight, a presence of silent attention, allowing you to be alone with your thoughts. It was here, in this room, that he developed the metaphor that would define modern psychology, the theory of the iceberg. Imagine now that you are no longer in Vienna, but standing on the deck of a ship in a calm northern sea. The water is dark and glassy.
Stretching out to the horizon, in front of you floats a massive iceberg, gleaming white under the starlight. It is beautiful and majestic, towering above the water. Freud taught us that the part of the iceberg we can see, the part that rises above the water, represents the conscious mind. This is the part of you that makes decisions, that talks, that plans the day. It seems large to us because it is what we see, but it is only a tiny fraction of the truth. The real mass, the true weight of the iceberg, lies beneath the surface, submerged in the dark, cold, silent water. This is the subconscious, a vast, hidden reservoir of feelings, memories, and instincts that drives us without us even knowing. As you lie on the couch in the warm study, you imagine yourself slipping into that water, not with fear, but with a sense of returning home. The water is not cold for you, it is cool and refreshing, a liquid silence. You submerge slowly, leaving the surface world behind. The noise of Vienna, the theories, the books, the traffic, all of it belongs to the tip of the iceberg, the noisy 10%. But you are sinking down into the quiet 90%. The deeper you go, the darker the blue of the water becomes, shifting from aquamarine to midnight blue to a deep velvety indigo. This is the realm of the id, the primitive instinctual part of the mind that knows only desire and rest. Here in the deep water, there is no judgment, there is no time, there is only being. You glide past the submerged mountains of your own memory, seeing them not as sharp rocks, but as smooth, weathered stones. Memories of childhood, memories of laughter, memories of comfort. They are all preserved here in the cold deep, perfectly intact. Freud believed that nothing is ever truly forgotten. It is just stored in the library of the deep, waiting for a dream to bring it to the surface. Speaking of dreams, you look up towards the surface of the water, far above you, and you see bubbles rising, silvery spheres of air floating up from the depths. These are your dreams, the messages from the subconscious traveling up to the waking mind. Freud called dreams the royal road to the unconscious, the secret pathway that opens only at night. Watching these bubbles rise is hypnotic. They wobble and dance, catching the faint light from above. You realize that tonight you do not need to analyze the bubbles. You do not need to interpret the dreams. You only need to exist in the place where they are born, in the deep creative silence of the ocean. The water supports you completely. You are weightless, suspended in the amniotic fluid of your own psyche. The pressure here is comforting, like a heavy blanket tucked in tight on a cold winter night, holding you together, making you feel whole. The currents here are slow and majestic, moving with the rotation of the earth. You feel a sense of immense power in this slowness, the power of the iceberg that moves not by the wind, but by the deep currents of the sea.
Your breathing has synchronized with this deep rhythm, your chest rising and falling like the swell of the ocean, slow and deep, inhaling the peace of the depths, exhaling the bubbles of the surface. Back in the study at Berggast 19, the fire in the stove settles with a soft rustle of ash, the only sound in the room. The snow outside is piling up on the window ledge, sealing the room even further from the world, a cocoon within a cocoon. Freud's pen scratching on paper has stopped. He is listening to the silence, just as you are. He understands that the most profound work happens when we stop trying, when we let the defenses down and allow the subconscious to take over. This is the state of free association, where thoughts drift like seaweed in the tide, unconnected and free. You let your thoughts drift now, one image morphing into another. A face becomes a flower becomes a star becomes a snowflake falling on Vienna. There is no logic here, only flow. The logic belongs to the surface, the flow belongs to the deep. You feel a heavy relaxation spreading through your body, starting from your toes and moving up like the rising water, covering your legs, your hips, your torso, your arms, your neck, until even your eyelids feel too heavy to lift. You are fully submerged in the comfort of the iceberg theory. You are the vastness beneath. You are the mystery. You are the silence. The psychological map of 1900 showed us that we are much more than we think we are, that we have an inner universe as large as the outer one. And tonight, you are exploring that inner universe, not as a scientist, but as a voyager, resting in the suspended animation of the deep. The water is dark and safe, hiding you from the demands of the light. Down here, there are no emails, no clocks, no responsibilities. There is only the slow drift of the currents. The water is ancient. It has been here since the beginning of time, just as the instincts of the human mind have been here since the beginning of our species. You are connecting with something primal and soothing, the biological need to rest, to turn off the sensors and sink into the maintenance mode of sleep. The great iceberg floats on, stable and strong, and you float with it, protected by its mass, sheltered by the water. The city of Vienna sleeps now. The lights of the Ringstrasse are dimmed. The snow has covered the tracks of the carriages. The world is a blank white page, silent and still, and you are the ink deep in the well, dark and resting, waiting for the morning to write a new day. But for now, the book is closed, the study is dark, and the ocean of the mind is calm. You drift deeper and deeper, passing the level of dreams, going down to the level of pure restorative sleep, the bottom of the iceberg where the water is stillest of all, absolute zero of the mind, absolute peace. The journey beneath the surface has led you to this point of total relaxation, where the body is heavy, the mind is empty, and the soul is free to float. You are safe in the depths. You are safe in the dark. You are safe in the sleep. Good night.
The train of history moves on, leaving the snowy streets of Vienna and the study of Sigmund Freud behind, the wheels turning rhythmically against the iron tracks, clack, 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 carrying us west across the border into the majestic landscape of Switzerland. The air changes here, becoming thinner, purer, filled with the scent of pine forests and the icy breath of the Alps. We are traveling to the shores of Lake Zurich, to a place of solitude and stone. The year is moving forward into the early 20th century, and we are visiting the sanctuary of Carl Gustav Jung, the man who looked at the iceberg of the mind and realized that it was not floating in an empty void, but in a vast shared ocean that connects us all. Imagine yourself standing on the edge of the lake at twilight. The water is a sheet of polished obsidian, perfectly still, reflecting the darkening sky above. The mountains stand like silent sentinels in the distance, their peaks dusted with snow that glows pink in the fading light.
You are walking along a narrow path towards a stone tower, the Bollingen Tower, a structure that Jung built with his own hands, stone by heavy stone. He believed that to understand the mind, one must be grounded in the earth, and so he mixed the mortar and laid the rocks, creating a physical representation of the psyche, round and fortified and whole. You enter the tower. The air inside is cool and smells of damp stone and wood smoke. There is no electricity here, no telephone, only the elemental sounds of nature, fire, water, wind, and earth. Jung sits by the hearth, carving a piece of stone, his hands rough from work, but his mind traveling to the furthest reaches of human experience. While Freud looked at the personal past, the childhood memories and hidden desires, Jung looked deeper. He discovered the collective unconscious, the idea that beneath our personal memories lies a deep, ancient reservoir of knowledge that belongs to the entire human species. Imagine the floor of the tower opening up, not into a basement, but into a deep underground river that flows beneath all the continents, connecting every dreamer on Earth. This is the collective sea, and tonight you are going to set sail on it. You step out of the tower and back to the lake's edge. There is a small wooden boat waiting for you. You step in and push off, the oars cutting silently through the water, gliding away from the shore, away from the ego, away from the I, and into the we. As you drift towards the center of the lake, the sky completely darkens and the stars come out, millions of them, burning with a fierce and ancient light. Jung taught us that these stars are like the archetypes, the universal symbols that exist in the minds of every human being, regardless of where they were born or when they lived. You look up and see the constellations, the hunter, the bear, the maiden.
These are the stories we have all told ourselves since we lived in caves, and they live on inside your mind, sleeping in your DNA, waiting to appear in your dreams. You lie back in the boat, looking up at the Milky Way, a river of light that mirrors the river of the mind. You feel a profound sense of belonging. You are not alone in your sleep. You are never alone, for when you dream, you enter the common ground of humanity, the great shared hall of the ancestors. You might see the figure of the wise old man, a symbol of guidance and wisdom that appears in myths and movies and dreams. He is the part of you that knows the way when you are lost. Or you might sense the shadow, not something to be feared, but simply the parts of yourself you have hidden away, the unlit side of the moon. Jung taught that to be whole, we must accept the shadow. We must invite it onto the boat. And in the safety of the dream world, the shadow becomes a friend, adding depth and substance to your soul. The water of Lake Zurich laps gently against the wood of the boat, a hypnotic sound, slap, 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 lulling you deeper into a trance. You are drifting over the collective unconscious, a sea teeming with the memories of the species, the fear of the dark, the joy of the sunrise, the love of the mother, the courage of the hero. These are not just ideas, they are patterns of energy, magnetic fields that shape our lives, just as the invisible magnetic fields shape the aurora borealis. Speaking of which, you imagine a curtain of green and violet light shimmering across the sky, the northern lights of the soul, dancing in the silence. You feel the tension of your individual life dissolving, the worries about your job, your bills, your schedule. They all seem so small out here on the Great Lake. They are just tiny ripples on the surface, while you are connecting with the deep, still water underneath. Jung often drew mandalas, intricate circular drawings that represented the wholeness of the self. Imagine a great mandala spinning slowly in the sky above you, a kaleidoscope of geometry and color, perfectly balanced. The center is stable, while the edges rotate. You are moving towards that center now, the center of the cyclone,
the eye of the storm where everything is peaceful. This is the self, the true you that exists beyond the masks you wear during the day. The boat drifts further, guided by the unseen currents of the collective. You feel a connection to the people sleeping in houses on the distant shore, and to the people sleeping on the other side of the world, and to the people who slept thousands of years ago in the deserts of Egypt and the forests of the Amazon. We all dip our cups into the same water. We all swim in the same sea. This thought is incredibly comforting. It removes the burden of isolation. You are part of a vast, living organism, a single consciousness exploring itself through billions of eyes. The air on the lake is cool, but you are wrapped in a blanket of starlight, a cosmic quilt that keeps you warm. You close your eyes, and yet you still see the symbols. They rise from the depths of the lake like glowing jellyfish, luminous and slow. The circle, the square, the cross, the spiral. These are the languages of the deep, spoken without words, understood by the heart. You are fluent in this language, even if you don't remember it when you wake. Your soul speaks it every night. Jung believed that the goal of life was individuation, the process of becoming who you really are, of integrating the conscious and the unconscious. And sleep is the laboratory where this alchemy happens. The lead of the day is turned into the gold of the night. You feel this transformation taking place now, a heavy golden warmth spreading through your chest, relaxing the muscles around your heart, soothing the solar plexus, relaxing the stomach. The alchemy of rest is working, distilling your experiences, keeping what is wisdom and discarding what is noise. The boat is no longer a boat. It is a cradle rocking on the waves of eternity. The stars above are no longer distant suns. They are the eyes of the ancestors watching over you with love and protection. The silence of the Swiss Alps is profound, a silence that has weight and texture, a velvet silence that absorbs every sound, every worry, every thought, leaving only the pure vibration of existence. You are drifting towards the island of sleep, a mystical Avalon hidden in the mist, where the archetypes live, where the hero hangs up his sword and the explorer rests her feet. You are welcome there, for you are a traveler of the mind, a citizen of the collective. The water below is deep and dark, holding the history of the world, but you float on top, held up by the surface tension of faith. Faith that the morning will come, faith that the dream has a purpose, faith that you are exactly where you need to be. The Bollinger Tower stands in the distance, a silhouette against the stars, a lighthouse of the inner world, its stone walls reminding you that you are strong, you are built to last, you are a fortress of solitude and peace. The spirit of Carl Jung sits by his fire, smoking his pipe, nodding in approval as you drift by. He knows that you have found the secret of surrendering to the greater flow, the river that became a sea, the thought that became a symbol, the sleeper who became the dream. Everything is connected. Everything is one. As you sink deeper into this feeling of unity, your breathing slows even more, matching the slow rotation of the galaxy. In, out, starlight, darkness, consciousness, unconsciousness. The boundaries are gone. There is no inside or outside. There is only the sea, the beautiful, endless, collective sea of sleep, washing over you, cleansing you, renewing you. You are part of the story that never ends, the story of life resting to live again. You let go of the oars, you let go of the boat, you simply float in the starlight, weightless and free, surrounded by the silent friends of the dream world. The archetypes are singing a lullaby of silence, a song without sound that vibrates in your bones. Sleep now, traveler of the depths. Sleep now, child of the stars. The collective arms are holding you. The night is yours, and the peace is infinite.
We leave the cool, star-reflected waters of Lake Zurich behind, drifting south across the rugged peaks of the Alps and down into the warm, dry embrace of the Iberian Peninsula. The timeline shifts slightly to the turn of the 20th century, bringing us to the vibrant and historic city of Madrid in Spain. The air here is different. It holds the heat of the day long into the night, smelling of baked earth, old stone, and the faint, sweet scent of orange blossoms drifting from the courtyards. We are entering the laboratory of a man who is about to turn the lights on in the dark room of the brain. His name is Santiago Ramón y Cajal, a man with the soul of an artist and the eye of a scientist, often called the father of modern neuroscience. Imagine yourself standing in his study late at night. The city outside is asleep. The only sound is the rhythmic chirping of crickets and the distant, lonely bark of a dog. Inside the room is filled with the clutter of a genius, stacks of glass slides, bottles of chemicals, and piles of paper covered in ink drawings. In the center of the room sits a heavy brass microscope, gleaming under the light of an oil lamp. The flame is steady and golden, casting a warm circle of light onto the wooden desk. Cajal sits there, hunched over the eyepiece, a figure of intense concentration. For years, scientists believed the brain was a single continuous mesh, a tangled web where everything was fused together. But Cajal sees something different, something beautiful and distinct. He is using a special technique called the black reaction, using silver nitrate to stain the tissue. And as you lean in to look over his shoulder, you see what he sees, a landscape of breathtaking beauty, a golden background scattered with black silhouettes. They look like trees in winter, delicate and stark against a sunset sky. These are the neurons, the building blocks of your mind. And Cajal is the first to realize that they are individual entities, separate cells that stand alone like trees in a vast forest. He famously called them the butterflies of the soul, believing that one day the secret of mental life would be found in the beating of their wings. Imagine yourself shrinking down, becoming microscopic, so small that you can step into this slide and walk among these magnificent structures. You are entering the forest of neurons, a place that exists inside your own head right now. It is a dense, ancient woodland. The trees here are not made of wood, but of living electric tissue. You stand at the base of a great pyramidal neuron. Its trunk is the axon, thick and sturdy, rooting it into the depths of the brain. Looking up, you see the branches, the dendrites, spreading out in a complex lace-like canopy, reaching for the sky, reaching for connection. They are incredibly beautiful, more intricate than any oak or elm you have ever seen, swirling and twisting in the golden light of the microscope. Cajal spent his nights drawing these forests, dipping his pen into India ink and tracing the delicate lines of the mind. He was mapping the geography of thought, showing us that we are made of billions of these tiny, independent lives. As you walk through this internal forest, you notice that the trees do not touch. There is a tiny, almost invisible gap between the branches of one and the roots of another. This is the synapse, the sacred space between, the kiss of the neurons. It is in this gap that the magic happens, where a thought jumps from one cell to another like a spark leaping across a canyon. Imagine the forest coming alive with this energy, the electric sky of the mind. You see tiny flashes of light, like fireflies in a summer meadow, blinking on and off, traveling down the trunks and leaping across the gaps. This is the physical form of a memory, a dream, a feeling. It is a symphony of sparks, a silent thunderstorm of information. But tonight, as you prepare for sleep,
The storm is passing. The wind in the forest is dying down. The fireflies are blinking slower and slower. Cahal understood that for the brain to function, it must also rest. The frenetic activity of the day must give way to the rhythmic pulses of the night. You watch as the flashes of light become rhythmic and synchronized, moving in slow, gentle waves across the canopy of the forest. This is the brain entering the alpha state and then drifting down into theta. The lights are dimming, not going out, but softening, turning from a bright white glare into a soft amber glow, the color of the oil lamp in the study. You feel an immense wonder walking through this landscape, realizing that you are walking through the physical architecture of yourself. Every tree you pass holds a memory of a summer day, the face of a loved one, the skill of riding a bicycle. They are all stored here in the branches and the gaps, preserved in the silver nitrate of your biology. The air in this forest is warm and humming with a low, comforting vibration, the sound of life sustaining itself. You find a soft patch of moss beneath one of the great neuronal trees, a place to rest. You sit down and lean your back against the trunk, feeling the solid support of the cell. You are safe here, protected by the density of the forest, protected by the science that explains you. Cahal's drawings showed us that there is order in the chaos, that the brain is not a mess, but a masterpiece of design. Knowing this brings a deep sense of peace. You are not a random accident. You are a carefully constructed garden, a gallery of biological art. As you rest, the butterflies of the soul settle down on the branches, folding their wings. The thoughts that have flitted around your mind all day are coming to roost. They are finding their places in the leaves, becoming still. The electric sky is turning a deep, restful purple, the color of the Spanish twilight. The sparks are few and far between now, just a gentle pulse here and there to keep the system running. The maintenance mode of the brain has begun. The glial cells, the gardeners of this forest, are coming out to clean and repair, sweeping away the metabolic waste of the day, washing the streets of the city while you sleep. It is a comforting thought to know that while you do nothing, your brain is taking care of you, healing itself.
Pruning the branches that are no longer needed and strengthening the ones that are. You breathe in the atmosphere of the study, the smell of old paper and ink, the smell of discovery, and you breathe out the confusion of the modern world. You are back to the basics, to the cell, to the spark, to the gap. The silence in Madrid is deep and heavy, the kind of silence that only exists in the small hours of the morning. Cahal has finally lifted his head from the microscope, rubbing his tired eyes. He blows out the lamp, and the room plunges into darkness. But in your mind, the forest is still glowing with a faint bioluminescent light, a soft inner radiance that guides you towards sleep. You feel a heaviness in your limbs, a pleasant paralysis that stops you from acting out your dreams, a safety mechanism designed by nature. You are rooted to the spot, grounded in the earth of your own being. The electrical signals that usually move your muscles have been intercepted. The drawbridge has been raised, and you are safe inside the castle of rest. The forest of neurons stretches out infinitely in all directions. Billions of trees, trillions of connections, a universe within a skull. And you are the master of this universe, simply by closing your eyes and letting it be. You do not need to direct the traffic. You do not need to prune the trees. Nature does it for you. The great intelligence that grew this forest knows how to sustain it. You surrender to that intelligence. You trust the biology. You trust the sleep. The visual of the tangled branches fades into a soft, abstract blur, a comfortable darkness that wraps around you like a velvet cloak. The butterflies are asleep.
The artist has put down his pen. The map is complete for today. You are drifting deeper into the spaces between the cells, into the quiet gaps where there is no noise, no thought, only potential. The silence between the notes of the song, the space between the stars, that is where you are going, into the synaptic silence, deep, restorative, and profound. The electric sky has dimmed to a single, steady star of consciousness, watching over the sleeping world. Good night to the forest, good night to the butterflies, good night to the genius of Cahal, and good night to you as you dissolve into the beautiful, intricate, and silent web of sleep.
The journey continues, moving us gently away from the intricate ink drawings of Spain in the early 20th century, carrying us forward on the smooth rails of time to a new era. We are arriving in the mid-20th century, specifically the early 1950s, a time of chrome and neon, of jazz and new horizons. We find ourselves in the city of Chicago, on the campus of the University of Chicago, where the streetlights hum with a soft electric buzz and the night air is cool and damp coming off Lake Michigan. We are walking towards a building that looks like any other, but inside, in a quiet basement laboratory, the mystery of sleep is about to be unlocked in a way never seen before. The air here smells of ozone, coffee, and the faint warm scent of vacuum tubes from the early electronic machines. We are entering the lab of Dr. Nathaniel Kleitman and his student Eugene Aserinsky, the cartographers of the sleeping mind. The room is dimly lit, illuminated only by the green glow of oscilloscope screens and the scratching of pen on moving graph paper, a long continuous scroll of data that looks like the heartbeat of the night. In the corner there's a bed, simple and narrow, where a volunteer lies asleep. Wires are taped gently to their scalp and near their eyes, connecting them to the heavy, humming machines. This is the first true sleep laboratory, a place where science stops guessing and starts measuring. You watch the machine, the pen wiggles up and down, tracing the brain waves of the sleeper. At first, the lines are long and slow, big rolling hills that represent deep, dreamless sleep, the delta waves we spoke of earlier. The brain is idling, the body is repairing, everything is calm. But then, something extraordinary happens. The pen begins to move frantically, scratching back and forth with incredible speed. The lines become short and sharp, looking almost exactly like the brain waves of someone who is wide awake, doing a math problem or running a race. But the volunteer is fast asleep, not moving a muscle. Kleitman and Aserinsky lean in, puzzled and fascinated. They look at the sleeper's face and see the only part of the body that is moving. Beneath the closed eyelids, the eyes are darting back and forth, left and right, scanning an invisible horizon, watching a movie that only they can see. This is the discovery of REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the distinct phase of the night where dreams come alive. Imagine yourself lying on that bed in the quiet lab. The wires are not uncomfortable. They feel like a gentle reassurance that you are being watched over, that you are safe in the hands of science. You are drifting into this paradoxical state where the body is totally paralyzed, a safety lock engaged by the brainstem to keep you from acting out the drama in your mind. But your brain is lit up like a city at night, fireworks of neurons firing in the visual cortex, the motor cortex, the emotional centers. You are entering the theater of the night, and the show is about to begin. The discovery of REM sleep showed us that sleep is not a monolith. It is not just one long block of blackness. It is a cycle, a rhythm, a song with verses and choruses. You go down into the deep, slow wave sleep, the restorative silence, and then you rise up into the bright, vivid world of REM, and then you go back down again, riding the waves of consciousness like a surfer on a slow-motion ocean. This cycle happens every 90 minutes, a biological clock ticking softly in the background of your being. 90 minutes down, 90 minutes up, again and again until morning.
Knowing this rhythm is deeply soothing. It means that your sleep has a structure, a plan. You don't have to worry about waking up or drifting off. Your body knows the schedule. It knows the dance. As you lie there imagining the pen tracing your own rhythms, you visualize the brain waves as landscapes. The beta waves of the day are jagged peaks, rocky and steep, difficult to climb. The alpha waves of relaxation are rolling hills, green and gentle, easy on the legs. The theta waves of drowsiness are sand dunes, shifting and soft. And the delta waves of deep sleep are long, flat valleys, wide and peaceful, where the wind doesn't blow and the sun never sets. You are currently walking through the valley, enjoying the stillness, but soon you will climb the hill to the REM peak, to the lookout point where you can see the stars. The scientists in the lab are quiet, speaking in hushed tones so as not to disturb the subject. Their presence is a comfort, like the guardians of the threshold. They are recording the invisible, proving that the dream is real, that it is a physical event, not just a ghost in the machine. The scratching of the polygraph machine becomes a white noise, a rhythmic scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch that mimics the sound of rain or the sweeping of a broom, sweeping away the cobwebs of the day, sweeping away the logic, leaving the floor clear for the imagination. In REM sleep, the logic centers of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, are offline. The boss has gone home for the night, leaving the artists and the children to run the factory. This is why dreams are so wild, so colorful, so free from the laws of physics. In the REM state, you can fly, you can breathe underwater, you can meet people from the past. The impossible becomes possible. And this freedom is a vital part of your mental health. It is the pressure valve releasing the steam of the day. As you drift deeper, you feel a sense of gratitude for this mechanism, for this nightly vacation from reality. The green light of the oscilloscope casts a soft glow on the walls, pulsating gently, fading in and out, hypnotic and calm. You match your breathing to the pulse of the light, inhaling as it brightens, exhaling as it dims. You are synchronizing with the machinery of sleep, becoming one with the rhythm. The city of Chicago outside is vast and windy, but here in the basement it is still, a bunker of peace. The discovery of REM sleep changed everything. It taught us that the brain is active in its rest, that it is working hard to process your emotions, to file away your memories, to make sense of your life. So when you sleep, you are not wasting time. You are doing the most important work of all. You are building yourself.
You imagine your eyes moving gently behind your lids, not frantically, but slowly, like you are reading a beautiful book or watching a sailboat cross the horizon, left to right, a metronome of relaxation. The body is heavy, sunk deep into the mattress. The paralysis of REM is not scary. It is a warm, heavy blanket, a feeling of being swaddled, of being held tight so you can't fall. Gravity is your friend, holding you down while your mind flies up. The cycles of the night stretch out before you, like a series of gentle waves on a beach, one after another, predictable and endless. You can ride them all night long, dipping into the deep healing waters and rising into the colorful sky of dreams. There is no rush, there is no destination, just the motion, just the rhythm. The pen on the paper slows down again. The burst of REM is ending. The dreamer is descending back down into the valley, back to the quiet, dreamless, restorative sleep. And you go with them, sliding down the curve of the wave, down, 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 into the dark, velvety silence. The show is over for now. The screen is dark, the theater is empty, and the peace is absolute. The scientists turn a page in their notebook, marking the end of a cycle, a successful journey through the night. You feel a deep satisfaction, a sense of completion, knowing that your body is a brilliant biological machine that knows exactly how to take care of you. The hum of the laboratory fades away. The green light dims to black. The Chicago night absorbs the building, and you are left floating in the pure, unmeasured space of your own subconscious. The rhythm of the night continues, a silent drumbeat that will carry you through to the morning. But for now, you are between the beats, in the silence, in the pause, in the deep, restful, scientific sleep. Good night to the lab, good night to the waves, good night to the rhythm, and good night to you.
The frantic scratching of the pens in the Chicago laboratory has ceased. The rapid movements of the eyes have slowed to a halt, and we are leaving the colorful, chaotic theater of the dream world behind, descending down, down, down into the very basement of the mind, past the shallow waters of light sleep and into the heavy, slow-moving ocean of deep sleep, also known as slow wave sleep. This is the most restorative phase of the night, the time when the body heals and the brain begins its most crucial task. We are entering the great library of the subconscious. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, infinite hall. The ceiling is so high it is lost in the shadows above, supported by massive pillars of ancient stone that feel cool and solid to the touch. The air here is still and smells of old parchment, leather bindings, and the faint, sweet scent of vanilla that comes from aging paper. This is the scent of history, the scent of wisdom. You are alone here, but you are not lonely, for you are surrounded by the stories of your own life. Stretching out in every direction are rows and rows of tall mahogany shelves filled with millions of books. These are your memories, the records of every second you have been alive. During the day, the library is a busy, noisy place, with new books being thrown onto the front desk in a chaotic pile. Everything you saw, heard, tasted, and felt today is currently sitting on that desk in a messy stack. This desk represents the hippocampus, a small curved structure deep in the brain that acts as the temporary inbox for your life. It can only hold so much, and if it is not cleared out, it becomes cluttered and overwhelmed, which is why we need sleep. Tonight, you are going to witness the work of the silent librarian, the invisible force of consolidation that comes out only when the lights of consciousness are turned off. Imagine a soft golden light illuminating the desk where the memories of today are piled high. The librarian moves with a slow, ghostly grace, picking up the first book. It might be a conversation you had this morning. The librarian opens it, reads it in a split second, and decides where it belongs. This process is known to science as memory consolidation. It is the transfer of information from the fragile, temporary storage of the hippocampus to the permanent, stable archives of the neocortex, the outer layer of the brain. You watch as the librarian takes the book and glides down the long aisles, finding the perfect spot on a shelf labeled Friends or Work or Joy, sliding the book into its slot with a satisfying thud. Seeing this happen brings you a profound sense of relief. You realize that you do not have to hold on to everything in your conscious mind. You do not have to worry about forgetting, because the library is taking care of it for you. The librarian returns to the desk and picks up another book. Perhaps this one is a memory of a traffic jam or a moment of frustration. The librarian looks at it and decides it is not worth keeping. Not every memory needs to be saved. Some are just noise, so this book is gently placed into a bin for recycling. This is the process of synaptic pruning, where the brain clears away the weak connections to make room for the strong ones. It is a cleaning of the house, a sweeping of the floors, allowing you to wake up tomorrow with a clear head and a fresh perspective. Watching this sorting process is incredibly hypnotic. Pick up, sort, shelve.
pick up, sort, shelve. The rhythm is steady and slow, matching the slow delta waves that are currently pulsing through your brain. These waves are like a gentle wind blowing through the library, carrying the memories from the desk to the shelves. Scientists have actually listened to the sound of neurons firing during this phase, and it sounds like a replay. The brain is literally rehearsing the day at high speed, engraving the important lessons into the stone of your mind. Imagine the librarian picking up a book that contains a new skill you tried to learn today, perhaps a new word or a piano chord. The librarian traces the letters, strengthening the ink, making the memory bold and permanent. This is why you wake up better at things than you were when you went to bed. The practice happens in the dark. The solidification happens in the silence. You begin to walk down one of the long aisles, running your hand along the spines of the books, feeling the texture of the leather. Some are smooth, some are rough, some are warm to the touch. These are the archives of your childhood, your first love, your favorite vacations. They are all safe here, dust-free and organized. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for this biological system. It is the ultimate backup drive, preserving the essence of who you are. The library is vast, extending for miles in the dark, but you do not need to explore it all. You only need to find a comfortable leather armchair in a quiet corner, a reading nook where you can rest while the work continues. You sit down in the chair and it sighs under your weight, soft and welcoming. You curl your legs up and rest your head against the wingback, watching the librarian work in the distance, a silhouette against the golden light. The atmosphere is heavy with tranquility, the kind of silence that you only find in the deep hours of the night, when the traffic has stopped and the world is holding its breath. You realize that this process of consolidation is not just about facts and figures. It's about making sense of your emotional world. The librarian is taking the sharp edges off the painful memories, filing them away in the past section so they don't hurt as much tomorrow, and bringing the happy memories to the front, highlighting them so they are easier to find. This is emotional healing, the therapy of sleep.
You feel the weight being lifted from your shoulders. The weight of the day's sensory overload is being unpacked and put away. The inbox of your mind is slowly emptying. The pile on the desk is getting smaller and smaller. Book by book, the day is being resolved. Soon the desk will be completely clear, a smooth, polished surface of wood, ready for a new day. But not yet. For now there is still the gentle rhythm of the work, the soft footsteps on the carpet, the rustle of paper, the slide of books on shelves. These are the sounds of order being created out of chaos, the sounds of your mind building itself. You feel a heaviness in your eyelids that is irresistible, a desire to close your eyes even within this imaginary library. The golden light is dimming now, turning into a soft amber glow, like the light of a dying ember. The shelves seem to stretch upwards into infinity, merging with the darkness. You are safe here in the center of your own history, protected by the walls of your own skull. The science of memory tells us that this replay is essential for wisdom, that we only truly learn when we rest. So you are not being lazy by sleeping, you are being wise. You are allowing the cement to dry, allowing the ink to set, allowing the painting to be finished. The silent librarian moves further away, down a distant aisle, their work nearly done. The silence deepens, becoming a physical presence, a blanket of quiet that wraps around you. You breathe in the smell of the books, a dry, comforting, earthy smell, and you breathe out the last bit of tension from your jaw, from your hands, from your feet. You are becoming part of the library, a statue of peace in the hall of records. The neural pathways in your brain are glowing softly,
tiny streams of light carrying information from the center to the edges, a beautiful, silent light show that you can feel but cannot see. The delta waves are long and slow, like the swill of a massive ocean, lifting you up and setting you down, lifting you up and setting you down, rocking you in the cradle of the deep. The desk is empty now. The work is finished. The librarian has blown out the candle and retreated into the shadows. The library is closed for the night. The doors are locked, and everything is in its right place. There is no more sorting to be done, no more decisions to be made. The books are on the shelves, the memories are safe, and you are free, free to drift into the void, the space between the memories, the pure, empty space of rest. The darkness is velvet, soft and thick, covering the shelves, covering the chair, covering you. You are floating in the archive, suspended in the timeless wisdom of your own biology. The consolidation is complete. The structure is sound. The foundation is strong. You can let go now. You can let go of the library, let go of the books, let go of the self, and just be, sinking deeper into the floor, deeper into the earth, deeper into the universe of sleep. The silence is absolute. The peace is total. The night is a long, slow, beautiful story that has no words, only the feeling of rest, only the feeling of home. Good night to the library, good night to the books, good night to the silent worker, and good night to you.
We have traveled a long way together through the corridors of history, from the stone temples of Greece to the candlelit studies of the Renaissance. And now the wheel of time turns one last major revolution, bringing us fully into the modern era, the 21st century, a time where the invisible has become visible and the mysteries of the mind are illuminated by the brilliance of technology. We find ourselves in a quiet, state-of-the-art research center in California. The air here is cool and conditioned, filtered to a perfect purity, smelling faintly of antiseptic cleanliness and the ozone of high-tech machinery. The lights in the hallway are dimmed to a soft blue, creating an atmosphere of calm precision. You are walking towards a room that houses one of the most advanced machines ever built by human hands, the fMRI scanner, or functional magnetic resonance imaging, a device that allows us to see not just the structure of the brain, but the activity of the mind itself. Imagine entering the scanning room. The walls are soundproofed, absorbing the noise of the outside world, leaving a deep, heavy silence. In the center of the room lies the machine, a massive, sleek white cylinder with a circular opening. It looks like a portal to the future, or perhaps a futuristic cocoon designed for a deep and transformative sleep. You are invited to lie down on the padded table that slides into the machine. The surface is contoured to support your body perfectly, alleviating all pressure from your spine, your neck, and your legs. You are given a pair of noise-canceling headphones that play a soft, ambient drone, masking the sounds of the machine, transforming them into a rhythmic lullaby. As you slide gently into the center of the magnet, you are not afraid, for you know that this machine uses no radiation, only the natural forces of magnetism and radio waves, the same forces that align the compass and carry the music. You are simply entering a magnetic field that will cradle your atoms and sing them to sleep. The scan begins, and if you could see what the scientists in the control room are seeing, you would be breathless with wonder. On their computer screens, a gray, three-dimensional model of a brain appears. It is your brain, floating in the digital void. But then, as the fMRI technology kicks in, the image begins to change. This machine tracks the flow of oxygenated blood, the fuel of thought, and wherever the blood flows, the screen lights up with color. This is the luminescence of the title, the glowing of the living mind. Imagine looking at that screen now. At first, the brain is quiet.
a landscape of soft blues and cool greens, representing the calm of the resting state. But as you drift deeper towards sleep, the screen begins to bloom with color, like a garden opening at night, or a city seen from an airplane window. You see a soft pulse of orange in the center of the brain, in the thalamus, the gateway of consciousness, as it slowly closes its doors to the sensory world, blocking out the signals from your eyes and ears, turning the attention inward. This shutting of the gate looks like a warm, fading ember, a signal that it is safe to let go. Then, as you enter the dream state, the visual cortex at the back of your brain suddenly erupts in a display of brilliant red and yellow. Even though your eyes are closed and the room is pitch black, your brain is painting pictures, creating entire worlds out of electricity. On the fMRI screen, it looks like a sunrise, a burst of golden light spreading across the occipital lobe, proving that to the brain, imagination is just as real as reality. The scientists watch this light show with reverence. They are not just looking at biology, they are looking at a soul dreaming. They see the hippocampus, our silent librarian from the last chapter, glowing with a steady green light as it processes the memories, moving information like a stream of emerald fire. And they see the amygdala, the emotional center, flickering like a candle, processing the feelings of the day, helping you to heal. This is the beauty of the bold signal, the blood oxygen level dependent signal, which paints the portrait of your inner life. Imagine your own brain right now as a bioluminescent creature from the deep sea, floating in the dark ocean of your skull. It pulses with a gentle rhythmic light, synchronized with your breathing. Every time you inhale, the glow brightens slightly. Every time you exhale, it softens, a tide of light washing through the tissues. The sound of the MRI machine is a rhythmic thump, 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 a mechanical heartbeat that is strangely soothing. It is the sound of safety, the sound of being watched over by machines that do not sleep so that you can. The magnetic field is aligning the hydrogen atoms in the water of your body, making them spin in harmony. You are literally in tune with the machine, in tune with the universe. The colors on the screen shift again as you move from one stage of sleep to another. The bright reds of the dream state fade away, replaced by the deep, resonant indigo of slow wave sleep. The entire brain seems to cool down, the lights becoming fewer and further between, like the lights of a house being turned off one by one for the night. The kitchen light goes out, the hallway light goes out, the living room light goes out, until only the small night light in the hallway remains, a tiny beacon of life in the darkness. This indigo state is the most beautiful of all to watch. It represents the brain washing itself. We now know that during this deep sleep, the brain literally flushes out toxins.
A cleansing wave of cerebrospinal fluid washing through the tissue. On the screen, it looks like a cool blue wave washing over a sandy shore, clearing away the debris, leaving the mind pristine and fresh. Seeing this process through the eyes of science removes the mystery of fatigue. You realize that tiredness is just a request for this cleansing, a request for this beautiful blue wave, and you grant that request now. You surrender to the blue. You surrender to the magnet. The sensation of lying in the scanner is one of total suspension. You feel weightless, held in the center of the cylinder, held in the center of science. The colors you imagine are hypnotic, swirling and blending, the orange of awareness dissolving into the green of memory, dissolving into the blue of rest. It is a personal aurora borealis, a northern lights display happening just for you, inside of you. The modern world, with all its noise and rush, is locked outside the heavy doors of the scanning room. Inside, there is only the hum, the data, and the peace. You are a masterpiece of complexity, a galaxy of 100 billion stars, and tonight those stars are twinkling in the quiet sky of your mind. The scientists on the other side of the glass are the astronomers charting your constellations, but you are the sky itself, vast and silent. The fMRI has given us the gift of seeing the invisible, of knowing that even when we feel like we are doing nothing, our brain is creating a symphony of light, a ballet of blood and oxygen. This knowledge is a comfort. It means you don't have to force sleep. You don't have to try. The biology takes over. The lights will turn on and off exactly when they need to. The colors will flow where they are needed. You are an automated miracle, a self-sustaining system of brilliance. As the scan continues, the rhythm seems to slow down. The thump-thump becomes a hush-hush. The machine is whispering to you, telling you that everything is normal, everything is functioning perfectly. The image on the screen is becoming simpler now, a uniform glow of peaceful, low-energy consumption, the standby mode of the human computer, where the fan slows down and the heat dissipates. You feel a coolness spreading through your forehead, a relaxation in your temples. The visual cortex is dark. The motor cortex is dark. The planning centers are dark. Only the core is glowing, a soft, warm light deep in the brainstem that keeps your heart beating and your lungs breathing, the pilot light of the soul. You focus on this small inner light, visualizing it as a warm golden sphere in the center of your head. It is the source of your life and the anchor of your sleep. The rest of the brain is a dark velvet room around this candle, quiet and spacious. The luminescence is fading into a gentle afterglow. The show is coming to an end. The data has been collected. The truth has been seen. And the truth is that your brain knows how to sleep. It has practiced this for millions of years. Before there were machines, before there were lights, there was this rhythm, this glow, this cycle. The technology simply confirms what nature has always known, that rest is the foundation of light. You feel yourself drifting out of the room, floating through the walls of the research center, floating up into the cool California night. The city lights below mirror the lights inside your head, a grid of energy and life. But you are rising above it all, into the dark silence of the atmosphere. The colors of the fMRI remain with you as a feeling of flow, a feeling of warmth, a feeling of being lit from within. The magnetic lullaby fades into the background, leaving only the rhythm of your own breath, which is the original rhythm, the first and last sound. The screen is black now. The scientists have gone home. The machine is powered down, but the peace remains. You are glowing with the soft, invisible light of deep rest, a light that does not burn, but heals, a light that does not keep you awake, but guides you into the shadows. You are safe, you are seen, you are understood, and now you are sleeping, drifting into the beautiful bioluminescent bay of dreams, where the science ends and the magic begins. Good night to the machine. Good night to the light. Good night to the colors. And good night to you. The bright colors of the brain scan have faded from our vision. The hum of the magnetic machine has quieted into the distance, and we are stepping out of the clinical precision of the laboratory into the soft, warm, natural light of the real world. We are moving forward just a few years in our timeline to the early 2000s, landing in the gentle, humid atmosphere of St. Louis, Missouri, near the campus of Washington University, where a quiet revolution in neuroscience took place. It is a lazy Sunday afternoon in late summer, the kind of day where the air hangs heavy and sweet, smelling of cut grass and blooming hydrangeas. The cicadas are singing their rhythmic, rising and falling song in the high branches of the oak trees, a sound that is the very soundtrack of doing nothing. Imagine yourself lying in a large, comfortable hammock strung between two sturdy trees in a quiet backyard. The rope mesh is soft and cradles your body perfectly, swinging ever so slightly in the warm breeze, back and forth, a pendulum of peace. Today, we are going to explore the science of daydreaming, the science of the wandering mind. For decades, scientists believed that the brain was only truly active when you were doing something, when you were solving a puzzle, reading a book, or driving a car. They thought that when you stopped focusing, your brain simply turned off, like a light bulb when you leave the room. But here, under the shade of the trees, we learned that the opposite is true. When you stop doing, your brain starts being. This is the discovery of the default mode network, a term coined by the neurologist Marcus Reichel, who noticed that when his patients lay in the scanner doing absolutely nothing, staring at a blank crosshair, their brains were not silent. In fact, they were humming with activity, consuming almost as much energy as when they were solving complex math problems. Lying in your hammock, you are now entering this state. You are not looking at your phone, you are not reading a book, you are simply staring up at the mosaic of green leaves and blue sky above you, watching the white clouds drift by, changing shape from a castle to a dragon to a wisp of smoke. This is the domain of the default mode network, the screensaver of the human mind. Imagine this network as a series of soft, glowing lights connecting the front of your brain to the back, a highway of introspection that only opens up when the traffic of the outside world stops. This is the network of me. It is the part of the brain that tells you the story of who you are. When the task-positive network, the part that focuses on work, goes offline, the task-negative or default mode comes online. It is like the pilot of a plane leaving the cockpit to walk back and sit with the passengers, putting the plane on a smooth, steady autopilot. You feel this shift happening now. The sharp focus of your attention is softening, blurring at the edges. You are no longer concentrating on the external sounds, the car passing by, the dog barking. Instead, you are drifting inward into the rich landscape of your own thoughts. This is the science of the daydream, and it is a beautiful, necessary function of your biology. The default mode network is the time traveler of the brain. It allows you to drift back into the past, remembering the taste of a peach you ate last summer, or the sound of your grandmother's voice, and then effortlessly glide into the future, imagining what you might do next weekend, or where you want to live in 10 years. This mental time travel is not a distraction, it is a rehearsal, a way for the subconscious to knit together the timeline of your life, making sense of where you have been and where you are going. Lying in the hammock, you let your mind wander without a leash, letting it go wherever it pleases, like a butterfly, flitting from flower to flower in a garden. There is no goal here, no deadline, no right or wrong, just the gentle flow of association, one thought leading to another like ripples on a pond. You might think of the color blue, which reminds you of the ocean, which reminds you of a vacation, which reminds you of the feeling of sand between your toes, and suddenly you can feel the warmth of that imaginary sun, your body relaxing even deeper into the hammock in response to the memory. This is the power of the wandering mind. It connects things that seem unrelated, creating creativity out of silence. In a world that is obsessed with productivity and focus, the science of the default mode network gives you permission to be idle. It tells you that zoning out is not a waste of time. It is a vital biological state where your brain consolidates its sense of self. Just as the body needs sleep to repair the muscles, the mind needs daydreaming to repair the ego, to process the complex social world we live in. As you swing gently in the breeze, you realize that you are currently in the lobby of sleep. The wandering mind is the bridge between the awake state and the dream state. When you daydream, you are dipping your toes into the subconscious, testing the water, preparing to dive in.
The thoughts that are drifting through your head now are becoming less logical, more abstract. The me that the network protects is beginning to dissolve, becoming lighter, less solid. The lights of the default mode network are dimming, turning from a bright white to a soft, twilight purple. The autopilot is guiding you down towards the runway of sleep. The clouds above you are moving slower now, stopping in the sky. The cicada's song has turned into a steady, still hum.
Hypnotic drone, a wall of sound that blocks out everything else. You feel a heaviness in your limbs, a pleasant inertia. You don't want to move. You don't want to think. You just want to float. The default mode network involves the medial prefrontal cortex, right in the center of your forehead, and the posterior cingulate cortex, deep in the middle of your brain. Imagine a golden thread connecting these 2 points, a glowing wire of self-awareness. As you relax, this thread begins to slacken, looping down, relaxing its tension. The connection is still there, but it is loose, comfortable, flexible. You are untying the knots of your identity, taking off the costume of your name, your job, your age, and becoming just a consciousness floating in the garden. The sun is beginning to set in St. Louis, casting long shadows across the grass. The light is turning golden and hazy, the magic hour of the day, which matches the magic hour of your mind, the hypnagogic state, where reality and dream begin to merge. You might see flashes of images, faces you don't know, landscapes you've never visited, geometric patterns. These are the sparks of the subconscious taking over as the default mode fades. It is a safe and natural transition, a passing of the torch from the day mind to the night mind. The hammock feels like a cocoon, wrapping you up, protecting you from gravity. You are suspended in air, suspended in time. The act of doing nothing has become the act of falling asleep, and it feels like the most productive thing you have done all day. You are reconnecting with the deepest part of yourself, the part that exists below the labels, below the stories, the silent observer behind the thoughts. The wandering has led you here, to the edge of the forest of sleep. The path is no longer clear. It is overgrown with soft moss and ferns, inviting you to step off the trail and get lost. Getting lost is the goal, for when you are lost to the waking world, you are found by the sleeping world. The mental chatter is slowing down. The sentences are becoming fragments. The fragments are becoming words, and the words are dissolving into silence. The brain is shifting gears, moving from the idling of the default mode to the deep, slow rhythm of the delta waves we spoke of before. The engine is cooling down. The lights on the dashboard are going out. The pilot is sleeping. The passengers are sleeping. The plane is gliding on the thermal currents of the night, silent and smooth. You feel a profound sense of relief that you don't have to steer the ship anymore. You don't have to be the captain. You can just be the cargo, carried by the mystery of your own biology. The Sunday afternoon has faded into a Sunday night. The stars are coming out above the trees, connecting with the neurons inside your head, a mirror of the infinite. You are drifting, wandering, floating. The I is gone. The we is gone. There is only the breath, the slow swing of the hammock, and the velvet darkness. The wandering mind has finally found its home, not in a place, but in a state of being, a state of total surrender to the flow. You are safe. You are held. You are quiet. The network is resting. The story is paused. The book is closed, and the mind wanders off into the beautiful, structureless, infinite landscape of dreams. Good night to the garden. Good night to the hammock.
Good night to the wandering, and good night to you.
We have walked a long road together, you and I, traveling through the dusty corridors of the ancient world, sitting in the candlelit studies of geniuses, and lying in the humming machines of modern science. But now, the journey through history is complete. The timeline has led us back to the most important moment of all, which is right here, right now, in the sanctuary of your own room, in the comfort of your own bed. The books are closed, the maps are rolled up, the scientists have gone home, and the temples are silent. We have spent 12 chapters trying to understand the mind, trying to measure it, to map it, to name it. But now we have reached the limit of what can be known, and we stand before the vast, beautiful mystery of what can only be felt. This is the infinite horizon, the place where the sea of science meets the sky of the soul, and your only task now is to sail towards it. Imagine yourself standing on a quiet beach at the very edge of the world. The sand is cool and soft beneath your feet, grounding you to the earth. The air is still and filled with the scent of salt and peace. Before you lies the great ocean of the subconscious, dark and calm, stretching out forever into the distance. You can see the line where the water meets the stars, a seamless blend of deep indigo and velvet black. This is the horizon we have been seeking, the point where the conscious mind ends and the infinite rest begins. You realize now that all the science we have explored, from the neurons of Cajal to the brainwaves of Chicago, was just a way to build the boat. The knowledge is the hull that keeps you safe. The understanding is the compass that guides you. But the ocean itself is the sleep, and the ocean is waiting for you. You step into a small, comfortable boat that is waiting at the water's edge. It is lined with soft furs and heavy blankets, a vessel built for comfort, a vessel built for dreams. You lie down in the boat and push off gently from the shore, feeling the sand give way to the water. The friction of the land disappears, and you are floating, drifting, sliding effortlessly into the deep. The shore of your waking life begins to recede. The lights of the cities, the noise of the days, the worries of the years, they all fade into the distance, becoming small specks of light that eventually disappear altogether. You are alone on the water, but you are not lonely. You are held by the buoyancy of the universe, surrounded by the quiet friendship of the stars. As you drift further out towards the horizon, you feel a profound integration taking place. The science and the silence are merging. You understand now that your biology is designed for this peace. Your brain is wired for this rest. You do not need to fight for sleep. You do not need to chase it. You simply need to arrive at the horizon and let it take you. You feel the system shutdown beginning in your body, a wave of relaxation that is deeper than anything you have felt before. It starts in your toes, warm and heavy, and moves up through your legs, turning your muscles into water, turning your bones into stone. The tension of the journey is melting away, washing off your skin and dissolving into the sea. Your stomach relaxes, the knot of anxiety untying itself. Your chest rises and falls with the rhythm of the gentle swell, a slow, eternal breath that matches the rotation of the earth. Your hands are open and loose, holding on to nothing, grasping at nothing, empty and free. Your shoulders drop, releasing the weight of the world, releasing the history we have carried. Your neck softens, your jaw unclenches, and your face becomes smooth and expressionless. The mask of the day falls away, leaving only the true face of the sleeper. Looking up at the infinite horizon, you see that there are no walls here, no clocks, no calendars. There is only the present moment, stretching out in all directions. This is the gift of the subconscious, a place where time does not exist, where a minute can feel like an hour, and an hour can feel like a second. You are entering the timeless zone, the eternal now of the dream. The scientific terms we learned,
the amygdala, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, they are all quieting down, bowing their heads in reverence to the greater power of sleep. The lights of the brain are dimming, the chemical tides are turning, the serotonin and melatonin are flowing like a sweet nectar through your veins, lulling you, soothing you, commanding you gently to let go. You are surrendering the captain's wheel. You are stepping down from the post of control. There is no need to steer the boat anymore. The current knows the way. The tide knows the destination. You are safe to close your eyes and trust the drift. Trust that you will be carried exactly where you need to go, to the land of restoration, to the island of healing. The silence around you is not empty, it is full. It is a heavy velvet silence that wraps around you like a cocoon, blocking out the echoes of the past, blocking out the whispers of the future. There is only the sound of your own heart, slow and steady, a drumbeat of life in the quiet void. Thump, 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 anchoring you to the boat, anchoring you to the peace. You feel an immense gratitude for this journey, for the ability to learn and the ability to forget, for the ability to work and the ability to rest. You are a complete human being, a master of both the light and the dark.
And now it is time to embrace the dark, not as a scary place, but as a warm, nurturing womb of potential. The infinite horizon is getting closer now, or perhaps you are becoming the horizon. The line between you and the universe is blurring. The drop is becoming the ocean. The sleeper is becoming the sleep. You feel a dissolution of the self, a beautiful fading away of the I, leaving only a pure, floating awareness. You are part of the water, part of the wind, part of the starlight. You are everywhere and nowhere, heavy and weightless, sinking and flying. The paradoxes of the mind are solved in the unity of sleep. The subconscious opens its arms to receive you, a vast, loving presence that has been with you since the moment you were born. It knows you better than you know yourself. It holds your memories, your dreams, your hopes. And tonight it holds your tired body, cradling you with the tenderness of a mother holding a child. You sink deeper into the blankets of the boat, deeper into the warmth, deeper into the safety. The water is calm, glassy, and smooth, reflecting the infinite peace of the cosmos. There is no storm here. There is no wind, only the gentle rocking motion that has lulled humans to sleep for thousands of years. The same motion that rocked the pilgrims in the temples of Asclepius, the same motion that rocked the explorers on the sea, the same motion that rocks you now. You are part of the great human lineage of rest, a member of the society of dreamers, and you have earned this peace. You have walked the path, you have listened to the story, and now you become the story. The final chapter is not written in words, it is written in silence. It is written in the deep, slow waves of the delta sleep. It is written in the stillness of your own breath. The boat drifts over the horizon line, crossing the threshold from the known to the unknown. And you are not afraid. You are relieved. You are joyful. For the unknown is soft. The unknown is kind. The unknown is the most comfortable place you have ever been. The stars above are blurring into streaks of light. The darkness is deepening, becoming a rich, restorative black, the color of deep earth, the color of deep space, the color of deep sleep. You allow yourself to fall gently and slowly, like a feather drifting down through stillness, falling away from the surface, falling towards the center, towards the core of peace that lives inside you. The science is done. The history is done. The thinking is done.
There is nothing left to do but to be, to breathe, to sleep. The horizon is behind you now. You are in the open sea of the infinite, surrendering completely to the subconscious, letting it wash over you, through you, around you, cleansing, healing, renewing. You are safe. You are loved. You are asleep. The voice fading, the thoughts fading, the world fading, until there is only the beautiful, silent, infinite dark. Good night to the history, good night to the science, good night to the world, and good night, deeply and truly, to you.